Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. This morning, I'll talk about the last three stanzas of this beautiful sutta, the Mangala Sutta, that we chanted earlier. And the last three stanzas are the holy life lived with ardent effort, seeing for oneself the noble truths and the realization of Nibbana. Although involved in worldly tasks, unshaken the mind remains, and beyond all sorrow, spotless and secure. This is the highest blessing. They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go, and every place for them is safe. This truly is the highest blessing. So, all of the verses until now have really been describing uh, a life that could be either a lay life or a monastic life. And there's a jump here to the holy life lived with ardent effort. And that in Pali actually is brahmacharya, which is celibate, someone that's fully ordained or ordained. Uh, that being put aside, there are so many examples in the suttas of people living the householder life, living the lay life, and reaching several stages of awakening. So it's not a deterrent, but it is in there. And there is a jump at this point in the sutta. Uh, it's actually been crescendoing throughout the sutta. The sutta is uh, describing this trajectory that really is similar to the trajectory that we're always hearing now about in meditation, where it's going from more coarse to more and more subtle, more and more refined. So initially, um, all of the things that the sutta was talking about were things, many of them external, and your life situations, uh, who you associate with and where you live, the kind of resources and training and education that you have access to and that are available to you. And then in the middle of the sutta, it's getting more internal qualities where you are living an ethical life and you are experiencing things like contentment and gratitude and sense restraint. And then you're getting access to these beautiful teachings and you're hearing them and then you're interacting with them and you're talking about them. And this is the climax of that amazing crescendo of things just getting more and more wonderful, more and more beautiful, more and more refined, more and more profound. And something else that's clear in these last three stanzas is that it is a path. And like all paths, it's going somewhere. There is a destination. And that destination is awakening. It's nibbana. In Sanskrit, nivarna, nirvana. In Sanskrit, nirvana, which is van is desire, and nir is the negation. It's desirelessness, complete cessation of any craving, any clinging, any attachment, any desire. A cooling, a good translation for nibbana is extinguishment, like a fire extinguisher. There's a fire has gone out, and it's a beautiful thing. And so there's lots of places in the suttas where there are these 10 imponderables, and four of them have to do with nibbana, like when someone, in particular, it's the Buddha, the Tathagata, but like where do they go? Like, do they exist? Do they not exist? Do they both exist and not exist? Do they neither exist nor not exist? There's four, not the binary Western. There's four, um, four roads of inquiry, four possibilities, which is beautiful. It jumps us out of this binary, this yes, no, both yes and no, neither yes and no. And it's kind of initially for us as Westerners, it's like, what? What would that even be? But it's great. It pushes us past our uh, set, stuck, narrow uh, worldview. And the Buddha answers that. It says that's not it's a metaphysical question. It's not important, but there is one beautiful sutta where he actually does give an answer, really, because he just talks about a fire. When a fire goes out, where does it go? Does it go to the north? Does it go to the south? Does it go to the east? Go to the west? It goes out. And this is a not a valid question. So many of our questions, we're climbing up, we're scaling the wrong tree, we're scaling the wrong wall. They're not even applicable. It shows how far off we are, how much delusion there is, how much ignorance in the human mind. So there's the destination, and yet then there's this amazing paradox that is such the quality of the spiritual life. Yes, there's a destination, but we're not goal driven. We're not thinking about benchmarks. We're working right here, right now, where we're at. And then, but occasionally we want to lift up our eyes and look at where the whole thing is leading. And that's what these three verses are doing. So jumping into them, the holy life lived with ardent effort. It's very the Pali word is tapas, this idea of burning, of fervor. Fervor or ardent. These are both really good translations for this quality. And this is something the Buddha does a lot. He takes something that actually, in one way of looking at it, is problematic. And in one way of looking at it is actually an obstacle. This idea of burning. And he turns it upside down, or turns it right side up, really, where he uses aspects of our life and aspects of our delusion and our ignorance and gives them a spin where where we can actually be realistic and honest about what's there and then redirect it and use the energy in a very forward-leading way. So this idea of burning, the Buddha talks about we're burning up. The eye is burning, the ear is burning, the nose is burning, the tongue is burning, the body is burning, the mind is burning with desire and burning with confusion, delusion. But we can take this quality of burning and apply it to our spiritual life, apply it to our meditation. Other ways that he does this that link into this are he does this with desire. We're burning with desire. Well, we want to take our desire and actually use it, that where we're desiring uh, something that's actually worth desiring, which is freedom, which is wisdom, which is uh, seeing things as they really are. And we do. There's time on the path when we have a desire, and the Buddha's even clear about it. There's a pain in that desire because we're not there yet. Um, but it's a useful desire. It's a wholesome desire. Another way that he uses what's here, this burning, this desire is our propensity, our drive for happiness. That also he takes and uses. I mean, it basically because we desire happiness that we get going on the spiritual path and keep going on the spiritual path because we start to experience a happiness that is better, a happiness that is way better than any of the happinesses that our culture, our ancestry has offered to us. The holy life lived with ardent effort, with a fervor, with things that sometimes we think, oh, that's not right, with a passion, with a diligence. But again, you want to pick these up in ways that are serving you. They're not tripping you up. And it's delicate for many of us that have, had a lot of uh, push, push, push in our lives, strive, strive, strive. But there are ways. It's wonderful if there's some passion there, some juice, you really, really, really get fired up about the Buddhist teachings. You love them, you honor them, you understand they're really precious. And your exposure to the Dhamma's teaching, the Buddha's teachings, the Dhamma is precious, valuable, something that you care deeply about. These are all yes, 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 according to the Buddha. There are desires that are needed, let alone healthy. Seeing for oneself the noble truths. The holy life lived with ardent effort, seeing for oneself the noble truths. This this is this is the destination. This is where the path is leading. And short of truly seeing the noble truths, there's aspects of seeing all along the way where you understand yourself more deeply, you understand the human condition more deeply, you understand the depth of our suffering more deeply. This is a hard part. Um, Yata Bhuta Jnana Dasana is the Pali for seeing things as they really are. This is what the whole spiritual path is about. It's about wisdom. It's about seeing clearly. And it's a process, you know. There will be a time when there'll be a powerful breakthrough. But until then, there's this gradual process of like, the Buddha talks about having little dust in our eyes. Well, what does dust in your eyes do? It prevents you from being able to focus. It prevents you from being able to see. And it's very agitating. But bit by bit, we're getting the dust out of our eyes. And this idea of wisdom is the start of the path. You need to have enough wisdom to understand that you need you need you need help. You need teachings. You need a direction. You need some answers. This is the start. Enough right view to get started, and then, like again, everything in the Buddha's teachings, it's got this recursive aspect to it, this feedback. It's the starting and the ending of the path is wisdom, seeing things as they truly are. And there's these beautiful epitaphs of the Dhamma, and in Pali, Sanditiko, it's something that gets chanted a lot. This is an aspect of the Dhamma. It's something that can be seen. The Dhamma can be seen. And in the scriptures even talk about the Dhamma eye, the opening of the Dhamma eye, where you truly see things. And it's so different than the way we think it is. Just so different. And the realization of Nibbana, the holy life lived with ardent effort, seeing for oneself the noble truths. And the realization of Nibbana, another epitaph for the Dhamma, is this idea of yes, it can be seen, sanditiko, and it can be realized. This seen and known, veditable, realized for oneself. It's an experience. And what is it? What is it that's seen? What is it that's experienced? There's many different ways that you could run at that. There's many different ways you could answer that. But in terms of like stream entry, the first glimpse of Nibbana, the first experience of Nibbana, when there's this lightning bolt on the mountain and you see that it's really there. We're walking on this path, going to this destination that none of us have seen, none of us have realized. So there's a lot of faith. And then at the moment of stream entry, there's this breakthrough. And the main thing that is seen is that this idea of somehow this essence, this soul, this me is not what I take it to be. It's so different. Ajahn Brahm talks about it's a driverless bus. That there's no driver. There just isn't. But we have to grapple with this intellectually until we have that experience. But on the way, as you're going deeper and deeper into meditation, you're laying down aspects of what you take to be yourself. You're laying down the five senses. You're laying down the body. You're laying down thoughts. These things they're disappearing. They're going. They're fading away. And then eventually the whole thing, everything that you take to be yourself is gone. And you realize, oh, it's not at all the way I've lived my whole life. It's not the way I've thought it was. In the connected discourses, the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha talks about this completely mind-blowing, life-changing, reality altering realization, experience, understanding. And this is in book 35, about the six sense bases. And it's sutta number 136, delight in forms. And I'm just going to read a few verses where the Buddha is speaking. The noble ones have seen as happiness the ceasing of identity. This view of those who clearly see runs counter to the entire world. What others speak of as happiness, the noble ones say is suffering. What others speak of as suffering, like annihilation, like non-existence, not annihilation, sorry, non-existence and no identity. What others speak of as suffering, the noble ones know as bliss. Behold this Dhamma hard to comprehend. So if you're like, what is she talking about? It is hard. I mean, because it's like completely foreign that there's no me. Like I break my leg, I hurt. Me hurts, Behold this Dhamma hard to comprehend. Here the foolish are bewildered. So let's not be bewildered. Let's be trying to grapple with this. For those with blocked minds, it's obscure, sheer darkness for those who do not see. But for the good, it is disclosed. It is light here for those who see. The noble ones have seen as happiness the ceasing of identity. I mean, just think about it, that this idea of me, this is what runs our lives, and is the source of so much suffering. um, there's a lot of suffering in identity. Um, if you think about, just the, you're not it. I'm going to give it a go. I'll give you an example. Cars are being stolen like all the time, and I'm unaffected until my car is stolen. And this is, a big upset. It's the me, the mine. Children are diagnosed with cancer all the time. I don't even think about it until my child is diagnosed with cancer. This is painful, disruptive, life-changing because of the me. That's why. I mean, this is such a foreign way for us to think, but the Buddha is really clear. In the same sutta, a little bit further along, sorry, in the same book, in the Nikaya, still book 35, like three suttas later, sutta number 139, not yours. Mendicants, give up what's not yours. Giving it up will be for your welfare and happiness. And what isn't yours? And I just want to say, we can't just give it up. Like we can't, oh, I didn't realize it's not my finger. I don't, go ahead, cut it off. This is ridiculous. But this is what the Dhamma will do. This is where we're going. And the wisdom will do this for us. We don't do it. But this is where it's going. What isn't yours? And this one, you can kind of get your head around it. Okay, what isn't yours? Sights. Sights aren't yours. Yeah, I mean, the Three Sisters, those mountains, I see them, but I mean, they're not mine, but I see them, so the, we often we can think of out there as like not mine, and then as it gets closer and closer and closer, it starts to be more, more mine. I remember hearing this teaching for the first time, and I so didn't understand it. And then um, the teacher, just a bit later in this weekend retreat, was talking about the food, like when is it mine, right? Like I've got this forkful of spaghetti, right? Spaghetti, 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 not mine, not mine, not mine. And then it gets into your mouth, right? It's like, okay, is it mine now? Or is it still spaghetti? And then I chew it, like what our organs, right? You get an organ transplant. Like, is it me? Is it my, like, sights aren't yours. Give them up. Giving them up will be for your welfare and happiness. Sounds, sounds aren't yours. Give them up. Giving them up will be for your welfare and happiness. Smells. I mean, smells. I mean, it's not mine. I didn't fart, it smells. They're not mine. There's someone's cooking onions. That's not me, but I'm smelling it. Like what smells? They aren't yours. Give them up. Giving them up will be for your welfare and happiness. Tastes aren't yours. Give them up. Giving them up will be for your welfare and happiness. Touches I'm touching something, something's touching me, it's not mine. Give them up. Giving them up will be for your welfare and happiness. Are you on board? Thoughts. It's the sixth sense. Thoughts, same as a smell. It's not yours, but it's inside me. And it's this whole thing out there, clear, it's not mine, gets closer, closer, closer. When is it mine? When is it me? Yeah, thoughts, same as a sight. It's like the three sisters. It just it's not yours. It's this process. It's comically produced. There's lots of habit energy, but it's not yours. And this is one of the most freeing, wonderful early on insights when you start to meditate. And then you're just sitting there, and then it's like, I didn't ask for this. Who ordered this truckload of dung? I remember early on meditating, and I think, I was getting a little bit foggy or whatever. But then I started hearing these ridiculous cartoon voices saying things they were barely English. It was so clear. This is not, I didn't want to think this or plan to think this. It just from, years and years of input, boom, this thing shows up, just like a smell. Thoughts. They aren't yours. Give them up. Giving them up will be for your welfare and happiness. Listen to the simile the Buddha gives. He's very clear. Suppose a person was to carry off the grass, the sticks, the branches, and leaves in this Jada's grove. Would you suffer? Would you be like, oh no, they're walking away with me, the branches? No, because it's out there and we're clear it's not me. The Buddha's asking us to try this on and 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 eventually we will have this full-on experience. And none of this is me. It's a driverless bus. It's not what I've taken to be. Identity, such a source of our suffering. Anytime you're suffering, you can start thinking, okay, where's the identity? Where is the identity here? And such a strong force in the mind for us to identify. And think about it, the more you're identified with something, the more you're entangled. Like if someone thinks of themselves, identifies as a good cook, then now suddenly the stakes are up. When they cook, there's this identity wrapped in there, and this, how is it received? And no one thanked me, and they didn't eat it all. Like that's one thing I didn't ever identify with. And so there was like a lot of less suffering. I knew it was not that good. I wasn't that invested, because I didn't have a lot of identity around being a good cook. But this is just such a force in the mind, such a force to pick up identities. And as identities start getting stripped away, I mean, look at how people are. Some people, when they retire, they fall apart. Why? Because there's a lot of identity around what I do. And so a lot of our identities around doing, and then when we start to see through that and put that down more and more and more, then we have a lot of identity around knowing. And this is our path in meditation. We stop doing, and then now we're the knower, and we're our consciousness, and we're these meditative states. It's a long process for us to put down these identities. This is one of the things that happens when you uh, enter into monastic life. It's happening for Anagarika V. You are putting down identities. One thing, you shave your you shave your head, you shave your hair. For many women, there's identity here, in how and what I did with my hair. And then you from the distance you can't even tell if it's a man or a woman. You wear the same thing all the time, and you wear the same thing as everyone else. that's a monastic, no identity there, no style, no personal, you know, and still we try, still we do it. It's wild. When I became an anagarika, and this is kind of superficial identities, as you become an anagarika, you leave everything. I wasn't really actively a mom. I wasn't, employed anymore. I was like all these identities, put down, put down, put down. And then I remember, you're making a fence and we were digging these holes for these posts. And I I was hilarious, It was so sad. But, there's another way you can pick it up. It was hilarious. I had like zero identity. I was just lost. And this is all something I didn't completely understand was going to happen as early days. Remember digging this hole and just talking about a holy life lived with ardent effort. No, no, digging the hole with ardent effort, because I was just scraping for identity. And so I wanted to just be this killer hole digger, and then I was comparing my hole to other people's holes and how its shape and the depth and the straight it was and the speed. It was just nuts. But it was like really so off and so obvious that, oh my gosh, this is just what we do. We identify, identify, identify. We pick them up. This is what the self does. It's trying to survive, and it's a house of cards, and it knows it. Yeah, this beautiful description of what it would be like to be free of these identities, free. Anything can happen, anything can be the way that it is, and I'm I'm okay because I don't exist, it turns out. Although involved in worldly tasks, you're still engaged in life, unshaken. The mind remains unshaken, unwavering, and beyond all sorrow. It's spotless and it's totally secure. This is this is the freedom. This is where we're all going. And they who live, that's us, by following this path. That's what we're trying to do, all of us. We know victory wherever we go once we've realized Nibbana. And every place for us is safe because the safety is within. It's carried by seeing things clearly, understanding things the way that they really are. So just very quickly in ending, how do we relate to this? And like, how does this relate to us? How do we relate to this? I want to say four things really quickly and it's for all of us, wherever we're at in this process, wherever we're at in this beautiful crescendo to this amazing climax. And the first thing is to have faith. And then we really want our faith to be in this. In the suttas, the Buddha talks about the real definition of faith is really, really, really believing that the Buddha completely woke up to all of this, that the Buddha realized Nibbana. That's what our faith is in. Our faith is linked to Nibbana. Um, and and the second thing I want to say is that this process is gradual. It's a gradual training. And so much so that even in terms of awakening, there's four stages. There's an initial stage, and then there's three more. Long, it's a long path, and it's a gradual path. And the third thing I want to say is this idea of, safety and freedom and ease and security and being unshaken. These are all descriptions of this immense freedom, complete freedom. In the suttas, the Buddha talks about us reviewing, often reviewing the extent to which the mind is already liberated, reviewing the extent to which we've already experienced some uh, dropping of identity, some expansion of the kinds of choices that we consider, like all the different ways that we've each one of us experienced freedom and increased freedom in our life. And we don't take ourselves so seriously. We don't the highs are less high maybe, but the lows are much less low, and it's more even and it's more peaceful. It's more reliable. And there's certain things that we don't even worry about anymore. They don't even come up anymore. That this review the extent to which the mind has already experienced liberation. And the last thing I want to say is that it's all about seeing. It's all about wisdom. This is all about wisdom. Everything we're doing is to increase our wisdom. This is the real superpower, is understanding things more and understanding things more clearly and understanding more things. And I want to end with a quote from Beth Upton. I wrote this down from one of her videos about metta, actually. In the long run, our meditation can only go as deep as our capacity to accept. If there are aspects of ourselves, this is this wisdom piece. If there are aspects of ourselves or aspects of reality that we're not able to hold with acceptance, we will never be able to put our wisdom there. So a strong foundation in loving kindness can underpin the whole rest of our meditation path. And for that reason, it's an essential tool for all of us to have. So that's the last thing I want to say is that uh, the place for all of us to start and continue and to stay at is accepting, 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 embracing, accepting with all of its limitations, all of the fraught parts, all of the struggle, all of the difficulty. Just continually try and open our heart and accept, 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 because then we will understand more. Because then we're not resisting. Then we're not, having our foot on the gas and our foot on the brake at the same time, which is what many of us do in our lives. So I would like to end there and um, invite anyone to ask any questions. And maybe Sangamita, if you could turn the recording off. Thank you.